James thought he'd lost her forever. 12 years ago, he left for China, telling Emma not to wait for him. But she did. Now, back at the company, he's thrust into a high-stakes contract negotiation with an ambitious department head who's willing to manipulate anyone to get what he wants. But when James realizes that the woman the department head is targeting is none other than Emma, things take a shocking turn. James must step in and defend Emma against a boss who's willing to cross every line. Will James be able to protect her and finally rekindle the love they once shared? When I left for China, I told Emma not to wait for me. I didn't know when I could return, and I didn't want her to be unhappy waiting for me. Emma stayed close to me.
I wanted to follow you, James, but at that time, I couldn't leave my sick mother. She passed away, but I had no way to chase after you. I believed we would meet again someday. Before I knew it, that day had come.
So Emma had been waiting for me. I held her tightly to my chest. My name is James Lee. I'm turning 39 this year. After completing my overseas assignment, I returned to the headquarters. The headquarters was the place where I worked tirelessly when I was young. The workplace felt nostalgic after so long. After 15 years, there were few employees I still knew. It's only natural. Time has passed. I gave a brief greeting at the morning meeting on my first day. Introducing myself again felt a bit embarrassing. I was welcomed with applause. I was immediately called to work. It was about handling a newly signed client. They wanted to discuss the details of the contract. As a chief, I was to join the meeting. I was grateful to the subordinate who secured the contract and wanted to support their discussion. I saw my role as a chief to supervise the employees' work, acknowledge their efforts, and sometimes provide support and coordination. It was different from just securing contracts. In that sense, I felt a fresh sense of purpose. When I went to China, I was just an employee, but upon returning to the headquarters, I was welcomed as a chief. The sales skills I honed abroad would surely be useful in my role. As a chief, I wanted to bring out the best in the younger employees while moving forward step by step. Benjamin sitting next to me was much younger than me. He seemed to have been promoted to his position at a young age. It was surprising to see someone his age as a department head. His position must have been earned through considerable achievements. Benjamin, the department head, suddenly called me to a meeting room while I was handling a client. Wondering what it was about, I left the task to my subordinate and headed to the meeting room. Could it be something urgent? When I returned to the office, he was sitting at his desk, waiting for me. Sorry for calling you out so suddenly. I have a favor to ask. Yes, what can I do for you? It's not a big deal. Benjamin surely understood that I was spending time dealing with a client. Handling clients should be done with the utmost sincerity and priority. There must have been a very urgent matter for him to call me away from that task. Please be brief, Benjamin. Why? I called you because I really need your help right now. I was surprised by the unexpected response from Benjamin. Did he realize he was making the client wait? A newly signed client is here to discuss specific details. I can't keep them waiting. I just stepped out for a moment. That's something you can leave to the person who secured the contract, right? It's not your job. No, we're trying to delve into the contract details and move the discussion forward. Since the content is involved, my input as the person in charge is necessary. So, what's the matter, Benjamin? Benjamin cleared his throat. I wondered if it was something difficult to say to me. Actually, there's a contract I want to secure today. I'd like you to accompany me. Sorry for the sudden request, but please prepare quickly. What? You're securing a contract, Benjamin? This seemed odd. That was not typically his job. And why was I accompanying him? Benjamin said it wasn't a big deal. If it was about a contract, wasn't that a big deal? Benjamin's role was to manage the company. He should be involved in management. not directly in contracts. So why was he involving me? Was it because a contract was involved? Why are you involved in this contract, Benjamin? What's wrong with me being involved in a contract? That's not something you need to worry about. I couldn't understand what Benjamin was saying. I thought I had no choice but to comply. So, when do we leave? Right now. Prepare quickly. Benjamin, that's impossible. I have my own work to do. Benjamin suddenly frowned. Are you defying your superior's orders? A superior's orders are absolute. I was surprised to learn that a superior like him actually existed. A superior was ignoring his subordinate's work. It was unreasonable. Reluctantly, I decided to leave the client handling to my subordinate. Understood, Benjamin. I will accompany you right away. Can you drive? What now? He wants me to drive? Yes, I can drive. Good. We'll take the company car. I knew it. I didn't mind though. I got the company car ready and waited for Benjamin. I felt like I was being played for a fool. Then Benjamin got into the car. Drive here. This is where our potential client is today. Benjamin handed me a note. It had the name of TX Corporation written on it. TX Corporation? I had visited them before. I didn't mention this to Benjamin. So, I knew the location well. I drove without getting lost. While I was driving, Benjamin said something strange. When we get to TX Corporation, just wait in the car. What? I thought I was supposed to join you for the contract meeting? No, that's not necessary. I'll handle the contract alone. Don't worry about it. Then why am I accompanying you, Benjamin? It didn't make any sense. If I was waiting in the car, I was only offering a ride. Is that really okay? I can be your help. I'm telling you, just follow my orders. This is necessary for the contract. Waiting in the car is necessary for the contract. I was even more confused. Benjamin continued with an even stranger explanation. TX Corporation wants to finalize the contract, but the CEO is refusing. The CEO? Yeah. If we can persuade her, the contract will be signed. That's why I brought you. Huh? So for this contract, you needed me and the car? That's right. You and the car are tools to win her over. Even after treating her to her favorite dish, lobster rolls, she didn't agree. Today, I'll show her some authority. Lobster rolls? With those words, something clicked for me. Benjamin, by any chance, is this woman named Emma Miller? Benjamin, sitting in the passenger seat, widened his eyes in shock. How do you know her name? I was equally surprised by Benjamin's words. I had a feeling. It really was Emma. We arrived at TX Corporation's parking lot, and I parked the car. I then took out my business card from my bag and handed it to Benjamin. Benjamin, please give this to her. The contract will be finalized. What do you mean? Trust me. Give it to her before starting the discussion. Good luck. With that, I sent Benjamin off. A while later, Benjamin returned. He was accompanied by a woman. It was indeed Emma. She hadn't changed at all. I greeted Emma in front of Benjamin. The contract is finalized. Just as you said, once I handed her your card, everything went smoothly. Then, turning to Emma with a smug look, he said, "Oh, he's just the driver. We arranged the car for you today. Since we secured the contract, you know what you need to do, right? About what we agreed on." Emma nodded and responded to Benjamin.
All right, I'll go out with you, but since it's the first time, just a drive with the driver.
Sure, it's the first day after all. A drive? This is work, right? Is Benjamin spending the rest of the day on a drive? Well, just a drive date for today. But next time we meet, you know what's expected, right? A date? What does he mean? I could sense Benjamin's ulterior motives. From the short conversation, I could also gather the context behind the contract and why Emma was refusing. What puzzled me was why Benjamin chose me for this. Wouldn't it have been better to use a younger employee? As I was wondering this, Emma casually asked Benjamin the same question.
Is the driver an older person? He looks about my age.
Yes. I rose to the top quickly, so I need to be able to manage older people too. When I said we were going to secure a contract today, this guy insisted on coming along. He's older, but he's new to the company. He just became a chief due to his age. So, I decided to bring him along. So that's what you meant by showing authority. I understood everything. He just wanted to impress Emma. He didn't even realize that I was back at the headquarters. He thought I was just an old guy who knew nothing. Which company promotes someone to chief based solely on age? I became the chief because I earned it. Benjamin tried to secure the contract with a drive, but I knew Emma wasn't that shallow. She agreed to the contract and the drive after seeing my business card. I was glad to know what was on Emma's mind. Both Emma and I kept our identities hidden that day and went along with Benjamin's drive date. After dropping Benjamin off at his house, I finally got to be alone with Emma.
James, it's been 15 years. Our last meeting was when you left for your assignment.
Has it been that long? How have you been?
When did you return?
Just recently. Today was my first day back. I never thought I'd see you on my first day back at work.
Really, it must be fate that brought us together.
Emma smiled as she said that. She looked genuinely happy to see me again. Emma was my dearest girlfriend. We talked about marriage as we both became working adults. When I got the overseas assignment, I wanted to take Emma with me. Of course, with marriage in mind. But Emma turned down my offer. So I went to China alone. I told Emma I didn't know when I would return. I told her not to wait for me. That wasn't my true feeling though. Emma simply said, "I'll wait for you," and saw me off at the airport. 15 years had passed since then. Surely Emma must be married by now. I was too scared to confirm the truth. So, what are you doing at your current company, Emma? Have you become quite successful?
I'm a CEO, but it's not a big deal.
So, was this contract handled between you two? Emma looked at me and chuckled.
Our company is small. Big contracts necessitate my engagement. The contract with your company was a major goal for us. That's why it was entrusted to me. But for some reason, your company's representative was that department head. At first, the negotiations were smooth. But then he started whispering things in my ear.
Whispering in your ear? I could guess the gist of it without hearing the details. That day, I also understood Benjamin's intentions better. So the negotiation stalled because of that.
He made our relationship a condition for the contract. I got scared and immediately recorded his conversation.
Emma, that was smart. That recording is your weapon. Let me hear it. Emma played the recording of Benjamin's voice for me. What? He's not talking about the negotiations at all.
Whenever I refused, he would put things on hold, saying it was a disadvantage to the company.
I understood what was going on. Benjamin was certainly smooth-talking and good-looking. He had a lot of confidence in himself. So, the contract ended up being agreed upon under his conditions.
It ended up that way, but I trusted that you would help me, James. I believed in you and agreed to the contract. It's okay for me to trust you, right?
That must have been a huge decision for Emma. I nodded and held Emma's hand tightly. We exchanged email addresses and phone numbers in case she needed help. I repeatedly assured her to contact me anytime she needed help. The next day, Benjamin was unusually cheerful. He came over to me, smiling, and patted me on the shoulder. "Thanks to you, we secured the contract. I appreciate your help. Let's work well together again." Work well together? You mean setting up dates with Emma? No way. We got the contract. Now she's mine. I can do whatever I want. Do whatever. What are you planning to do? Benjamin laughed mockingly. Do you think I can say that out loud here? I'm going to do exactly what you're imagining. I knew I had to fight him to save Emma. A few days later, in the evening, I suddenly received a message from Emma. I eagerly checked it.
Benjamin contacted me.
I immediately left the office and called Emma. She answered right away. What did he say?
He wants to have dinner tonight. It seems he already made a reservation at a restaurant.
Tonight? Did you agree?
No way. It's way too sudden.
He's completely assuming things.
Assuming things?
He plans to have dinner at the restaurant and then take you to a hotel.
What? Did he say that?
He left it to my imagination, and he laughed happily.
James, what should I do?
Don't worry. Leave it to me. I'll find a way to stop Benjamin. You should go straight home today.
What? But...
Don't worry about the rest. It'll be fine. After calming Emma and hanging up the phone, I went straight to Benjamin's desk. Benjamin, I need to talk to you. What is it? I'm busy today. Can we talk another time? No, it has to be today. What do you mean? Benjamin, I neglected my work to accompany you on your date. Now it's your turn to accompany me. What are you talking about? Work hours are over. I don't need to spend time with subordinates after hours. Even regarding the contract with TX Corporation, Benjamin flinched at that moment. Did he feel guilty about something? The contract with TX Corporation has nothing to do with you. You have no right to interfere. Is that so? Have you forgotten? Forgotten about what? That the contract was finalized because I showed my business card. So what? It means it wasn't your doing, Benjamin. Benjamin frowned at my words. How dare you speak like that as a mere chief? Do you even know the details of the contract? He was unhappy because his dignity was harmed. The fact is, my business card made the difference. Aren't you curious why? Even then, Benjamin cut me off. That doesn't matter. The result is everything. Finalizing the contract is what matters. The contract with TX Corporation is done. As long as she agrees to my terms, that's all that matters. I realized Benjamin's true intentions. His goal wasn't the contract, it was Emma. He just wanted to have her. He was using the negotiation and the job for his personal gain. Is she really that attractive to you? That's none of your business, is it? I played a part in this too. It seems you're quite infatuated with her. Indeed, I did borrow your help. You thought she was beautiful too, right? Well, yes. See, there aren't many women as beautiful as her. When she visited, I set my sights on her. That's why I took over as the main contact, to make her mine, using the contract as leverage. Do you always use contracts like this, Benjamin? Benjamin hesitated for a moment. Yes. Contracts are about building connections. Remember that. Success, money, women, it's all about the approach. Is that so? I couldn't fathom what Benjamin had done to get to this point. Now Emma was his target. Well, I have things to do. With that, Benjamin started packing his things. He was probably heading straight to the restaurant. Benjamin, what if she refuses to go out with you? What happens to the contract then? She won't refuse. By accepting my feelings, she's agreed. If she declines, the contract will be terminated. She must understand that. Wouldn't canceling the contract be a risk for the company? Benjamin laughed. A contract with such a small, insignificant company poses no risk if canceled. It won't affect our company's performance. I only wanted her. Contracts can have such purposes. Benjamin said this calmly and started to leave with his bag. Wait a moment. What? I told you I'm busy. Are you heading to the restaurant? Benjamin flinched and widened his eyes. How do you know that? I had to make it plain to Benjamin because he was dull. I know everything about you, Benjamin. Emma and I have that kind of relationship. What do you mean? Don't you understand yet? Emma was my girlfriend. Benjamin stood there in shock, clearly unable to process the situation. I know you asked her out tonight, and not just that. Are you saying you know everything I've done? Yes. I know how you approach the contract. It's despicable. To my dear one, did you think I was just an ignorant old man you could manipulate? I will fight you. I'll punish you for trying to trap Emma. Punish me? How? What do you think you can do as a mere chief? You might not have noticed, but Emma recorded your conversations during the negotiations. At first, it might have just been whispers, but as your words became bolder, Emma felt endangered and started recording. Instead of business, your conversations were filled with attempts to seduce her. Did you hear it? Sometimes, you even threatened her, saying you'd ruin her company if she didn't comply. What do you say? Do you remember saying that? This is solid evidence. I will file an internal complaint. An internal complaint? Yes. You understand what that means for your career, right? Benjamin froze, unable to respond. Emma went home today. I sent her home after hearing about your plans. What will you do now? Will you cancel the contract? It depends on your next move. Benjamin forced a smile, trying to maintain composure. Fine, do what you want. I'll make you regret defying your superior. Don't come crying later. But his shoulders were trembling, his words hollow and powerless. Benjamin, it's better if you don't struggle anymore. Your fate is in my hands now. If you give up on Emma and don't cancel the contract, I'll let this go. I promise. But if you make any wrong moves, I'll file that internal complaint at any time. Understood? Benjamin listened to my words and silently walked away. Since then, he stopped contacting Emma. Emma's company strengthened its collaboration with ours, steadily improving their performance. Emma's achievements were recognized, and she earned the trust of those around her. I remained vigilant against Benjamin. One day, he issued a directive. My department was given an impossible quota. We were to secure 30 contracts in a month, which meant 1 contract per day. Such an unreasonable target was unattainable. Securing contracts is a challenging task. Benjamin knew this from experience. This was his revenge against me. I couldn't burden my subordinates with this. So, I didn't pass the directive to them. I told them to continue working at their usual pace. I made a list of companies that might be potential clients. But no matter how I looked at it, 30 contracts were impossible. Benjamin intended to use this to affect my performance review. He aimed to demote or possibly fire me, maybe even send me for retraining. So this was Benjamin's power. It wasn't just sour grapes. I didn't plan to report Benjamin for this. Emma wasn't involved. I would report him only if it involved protecting Emma. This was a personal challenge assigned by my superior. As a subordinate, I had to fulfill it, no matter how unreasonable. I pondered daily. There seemed to be no solution. I had sleepless nights. What could I do? How could I handle this without relying on my subordinates? Then, a clever idea struck me. I wasn't sure if it would work, but I was convinced this was a solution only I could achieve. From that day on, I explained the situation to my former colleagues at the Beijing branch and persistently negotiated over the phone. The connections I had built over the years paid off. I was given special permission to participate and work on site. I created a list of companies with needs and reached out to every contact I had. Not wanting to trouble the branch, I specifically selected companies interested in connections with the headquarters. I managed to gather a significant number of potential clients. At that point, I decided to go back to China. I informed Emma about my plan. I'm heading back to China. Emma couldn't hide her surprise.
James, you just got back.
It's okay. I'll be back soon. Don't worry, we'll see each other again soon.
Really? Promise me. I'll be waiting for you, James.
I gratefully accepted her words. Knowing I would see Emma again when I returned to America was enough for me. It gave me the motivation I needed. I focused on my task and returned energized. I did it for Emma's sake too. Once I arrived in China, I stayed in a hotel and visited the companies I had negotiated with over the phone. Since we had already discussed the details, the meetings were brief and led to contracts. My goal was to visit 3 companies a day. I traveled from morning until night. China was vast, incomparable to America. During a 2-week stay, I visited all the planned companies. I successfully secured contracts with all of them. Then, I safely returned to America. Emma was there to greet me in the airport lobby.
Welcome back, James. Did you manage to get the work done?
Yeah, thanks to you. Sorry for making you wait, Emma.
James, you look worn out.
Emma said I looked thinner and had dark circles under my eyes. I'm fine. Really, I'm just tired.
Can you take it easy now?
No, the work isn't finished yet. The most important part is still ahead. Just a little more.
I see. I can't do much to help, but hang in there. I believe in you, James.
Feeling torn, I left Emma waving behind me and headed straight to the office. Benjamin was waiting for me. I had informed the company about my return. Hey, there you are. So, how did it go? Did you achieve anything in those 2 weeks? Thank you for the opportunity. Benjamin, the quota was 30 contracts, right? That's right. Your subordinates must have been running around like crazy for you. No, that wasn't necessary. What do you mean? Have you given up? Benjamin seemed confident I couldn't achieve it, evident in his tone. But you're a chief, right? Giving up isn't an option for you. You're responsible for your entire department, not just yourself. Do you understand that? You should reach a conclusion quickly. But maybe it's already too late. It's been almost a month. Benjamin looked at me with a face ready to burst into laughter, pitying me. Benjamin, do you know why I joined this workplace as a new face this year? I have no interest in you. He was sneering. Did he think this was just my desperate attempt? I joined this company as a college graduate. During my time at the headquarters, I was assigned to work overseas. I spent 15 years in China, and now I've returned to the headquarters as a chief. So what? What does that have to do with your recent trip? I thought he was remarkably obtuse. He should have figured it out. My 15 years there were invaluable. I realized they weren't wasted. What do you mean? My network in China is still alive. I utilized it effectively. You said contracts are about connections. I agree. But the difference is, I believe they should be based on trust. I worked with many people, supporting each other. That saved me. Your connections, Benjamin, are fleeting and opportunistic. They leave nothing lasting. Such relationships are hollow. Do you have any allies? Benjamin scoffed at me. The one who gets the job done is the winner. That's all that matters. The method doesn't matter. People are tools. There is no value in relationships beyond work. You have to discard anything that can't be reused. You probably intended to discard Emma after having your way with her. That's the kind of person you are. You sacrifice people for contracts and use contracts to manipulate people. I don't want to work with someone who has such a twisted sense of work ethics. Benjamin seemed delighted by my words. Oh, so you're resigning then? What an irresponsible guy. Are you going to abandon your work? Benjamin, I fulfilled the quota. I handed him the list of all the companies I secured contracts with in China. Exactly 30. With the contracts my subordinates secured, we even exceeded the quota. Benjamin looked at the list in disbelief. He seemed skeptical. If you doubt it, feel free to verify. All the contracts are legitimate. And with that, I will be resigning from this company. When I resign, they'll naturally ask why, and I'll tell them the truth. I can't follow a department head like you. I won't mention your past deeds, but I will explain this unreasonable quota you imposed. I wonder what the higher Yuppies will say. I look forward to finding out. As I turned to leave, Benjamin called out in a panic. Wait a minute. All right, let's resolve this peacefully. Resolve what? I've met the quota, so there's no issue. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Please don't quit. For my sake, can you stay at the company? Benjamin suddenly begged me. Fine, Benjamin, but no more unreasonable directives. With those words, I left the office. By then, it was already dark. I contacted Emma and arranged to meet at a park near her office. Emma wrapped up her work and hurried over. Seeing me, she smiled with relief.
Is the work finished? Can you relax now?
Yeah, everything's taken care of. It's all over. You don't need to worry anymore.
The contracts are secured and the work is going well. It's all thanks to you, James. I'm grateful.
That's good to hear. And don't worry about Benjamin.
He's not contacting me anymore. What did you do to him, James?
That's not important. What matters is that you're safe now.
I was worried you might fly away again and not come back.
I told you I'd come back, didn't I? Though maybe it would have been better if I hadn't. I had spoken without thinking. Even if I came back, I couldn't be with Emma. That thought weighed heavily on me. I had looked forward to seeing Emma more than anything when I returned. Emma suddenly looked sad.
Why? Why do you think that?
I kept thinking about you the whole time I was over there. I wanted to see your smiling face. But you always go home when it's time. In the end, I'm left alone. When I go home, I'm reminded of the reality of being alone. That's hard for me to bear. It's something I can't change. Emma listened to me silently. Then she spoke to me softly.
James, do you remember what I always tell you when we part?
Yeah, I remember. You always tell me you'll wait for me.
I'm still waiting for you, even now. I've never changed since our college days.
What do you mean?
I can't imagine being with anyone else but you. So, I've lived alone all this time.
What? You haven't gotten married? Emma shook her head. She said she'd wait. but I thought she was just waiting for me to come back. When you went to China, I told you not to wait for me. I didn't know when I'd be able to return, and I didn't want you to be unhappy waiting for me. But she stayed close to me.
I wanted to follow you, James, but I couldn't leave my sick mother at that time. She passed away, and I had no way to chase after you. I believed we would meet again someday. Before I knew it, that day had come.
So, Emma had been waiting for me. I held her tightly to my chest. A year later, we happily got married. We nurtured our love and lived together. The company, curious about my sudden surge in contracts, conducted an investigation and uncovered Benjamin's arrogance. He wasn't fired, but was sent for retraining. He would never return to the headquarters. And I was promoted to fill his vacant position, an unusual promotion. I had just returned to the headquarters as a chief, but no one objected. I was praised for my remarkable vitality. Despite the unreasonable directives, I protected my team and led them to a solution which was seen as a miracle. This recognition wasn't just for me. It was for everyone who supported me. And my greatest supporter was, of course, Emma. I owe my current self to the strength Emma gave me. With Emma by my side, I also became a department head. We want to support each other in both work and life. I looked at Emma again. Emma, I'm a lucky man. My life has been a series of miracles, and now I'm with you. Thank you. It's all thanks to you.
James, your life has been yours to live. That's why those miracles happened. I'm happy to be with you, James. From now on, it's our life together.
In both work and home, Emma is my perfect partner. Our future shone brighter than ever.